Hey brothers and sisters, welcome back to these gems from Revelation. My name's Mark, and we've been looking at Revelation chapter 21. All things new. Behold, I make all things new. A new heaven and a new earth, with a new bride that has transformed from someone old and decayed and corrupt, been transformed through a process, a vein of metamorphosis from someone old to someone new, possessing the royal laws, righteous behavior of love. Take a look at this. We're talking about the new Jerusalem that's coming. The former heaven and earth have gone in this point of the vision. The former heaven and earth have gone, and all things are new. And isn't that amazing? I mean, this portal opens in our heart to give us access of Yahusha Elohim, that little portal that was on the tabernacle, that was in the temple of Solomon on top of the Ark of the Covenant, that little ball of blue light, that Shekinah glory, esteem that was there, that only the high priest could come close to one day a year. That opens on our hearts. It's an interdimensional portal. Open heavens, as Adam and Eve saw. We can't see, but we can feel, we can access the throne room. And he gives us fruits of behavior to perform, to live. The former heaven and earth have gone, and all things are now new. Let's have a look. And we're not arguing about this word new. That's so yesterday. It's so passé. We're not doing that anymore. That's ridiculous. It's new. New means new. I want to be new. You want to be new. Let's all be new together. Revelation 21. I saw a new heaven and a new earth. And the former heaven and the former earth had passed away, frackled up, utterly destroyed. And the sea is no more. Wasn't that amazing, learning about the sea, the molten sea, the big brass, brazen lava in the temple courtyard, outer court? It's no more. No ceremonial washing required anymore. There's none anymore right now in history, let alone in the new city coming. We don't need to be ceremonially washed. We are purified through spirit and fire. Yahusha's blood, of course, started that. He's the real purification there. So the sea is no more. And I, John, saw the holy, set-apart city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of the heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband, prepared as a bride. Remember, this is all visions. This is all dreams, metaphors, abstract, We've got to look at it as such. You can't just say, oh, it's going to be a bride, it's going to be it's going to be a dragon, it's all visions, and we've got to work out what it means spiritually in the abstract through Yahusha Elohim's spirit. A new heaven and a new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven as a bride prepared for her husband. John sees the heavenly city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of the sky from Yahusha Elohim. This event was first foretold in one of Isaiah's prophecies. Notice that here, the New Jerusalem is called the Holy City, or the set-apart city. When Isaiah speaks about it, he just calls it the Holy City, or the set-apart city. But historically, Jerusalem, and especially Jerusalem today, Israel completely, has been anything but set apart or holy. So the prophecy is referring to a holy city of Jerusalem, but historically, Jerusalem has been anything but holy. In Scripture, Jerusalem was constantly condemned by Yahuwah's prophets for her idolatry, her bloodshed, corruption, and sin, and was regularly punished for it, and given a certificate of divorce and exiled. So, the old Jerusalem was, and is still today, considered just like Sodom and Egypt. And we saw what happened to those places, didn't we? Isaiah plays a key role in providing information and context throughout Revelation, but perhaps none greater than in the final 2 chapters. And what he has to say is something we shouldn't bypass. So we're going to read the entire 52nd chapter of Isaiah. You will immediately see that the subject is the eventual redemption of Jerusalem. Now, to the naked eye, redemption of Jerusalem gets Oh, everybody excited. All the Jews are excited. Look, Jerusalem's going to be redeemed. All the Hebrew roots people are like, see, I told you. Look, Jerusalem's going to be redeemed. And where's Jerusalem? In Israel. What's the original Holy Land? The set-apart promised land, Israel, Canaan, the Middle East. It's all relevant. See, I told you. If you look at it at first reading, on the surface. But what do we know about Jerusalem? Where is Jerusalem today? Where is the temple today? The new living temple. Where is Jerusalem? She's called the bride. The bride. The bride of Yahusha. So understand that context when you read it. Isaiah 52. Wake up, get dressed in strength. Come on, Zion, put on your clothing of splendor. Jerusalem, the set-apart city. For the filthy, uncircumcised, and unclean won't come into you any more. Shake yourself from the dust. Rise up and sit down, Jerusalem. Loose yourself from the bonds of slavery around your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For Yahuah says, you have been sold for no money, and you are not redeemed with silver. At first my people went down into Egypt to dwell there, and then Assyria oppressed them without cause. And now what have I here? My people have been taken away again, but no one paid to take them. And those who rule over them make them scream and wail, and my name is completely hated all day long. So now my people will understand me again. They will know my name in that day, for I am the one who is speaking. See, it is I. It's speaking very culturally. It's speaking about the Israelites. It's speaking about their slavery, about the fact that the nations came and took them away, didn't pay silver for them. It's speaking about a lot of things in the natural. But think about your own life. Don't sell yourself short, particularly if you don't come from some solemn tribe, royal tribe of Israel. What slavery have you been in your whole life? What corruption have you been in your whole life? What was sown in you at your conception? What have you been through your whole life of slavery to sin and this wicked spirit in your flesh? I'd call that slavery. If I'm reading this text thinking of myself, I've been a slave my whole life, as you have. So in that, I am part of the Jerusalem that was entered into slavery. How pleasant and wonderful is it to see someone coming over the mountains with good news. It is. It's amazing, wonderful, pleasant, someone with good news. Someone announcing that peace and deliverance has come. It's like the parable of the virgins. The midnight call is out. The bridegroom's coming. The bridegroom's coming. Someone announcing that peace and deliverance has come. Someone who says to Zion, your Elohim reigns. Your Elohim reigns. The voice of your watchman, which we know is the bride, will lift up their voices, and together they will shout for joy. This is a symptom of going through the vein. You end up with joy. Shout for joy, because eye to eye they see the return of Yahuah to Zion. They see the return of Yahuah to Zion. Don't forget where Isaiah sits historically. He's referring to Yahuah, but we've got to understand where Yahuah went. He went into a man. He metamorphed into the man, Messiah, Elohim, man, son of Adam, Yahusha, Elohim. So he will return to Zion. He will return to the city of David, the new Jerusalem. He will return, indeed return. Break forth into joy. Sing together, you ruins of Jerusalem. You know, we even get slagged out for singing. I get slagged out for playing a guitar. That's how wicked and religious the Nazrim and Messianics and Hebrew-rooted idiots are. You can't even do anything right these days. So don't even listen to a word they say. Break forth into joy. Have it. They're jealous because they don't have the joy. They have the Hebrew language and that's about it. There's no joy there. Sing together, you ruins of Jerusalem. To the down and out, to the whores and tax collectors, the druggers, everybody who's come from the streets, the highways and byways. Sing together, you ruins of Jerusalem. For Yahuah will comfort his people. He will redeem Jerusalem. And who did Yahuah become in order to do this? So this is what people don't understand. They're waiting for some future when Yahuah is going to set his feet on the Mount of Olives. Yahuah already did. He died. I think did he die on the Mount of Olives? I forget. But he died just outside Jerusalem. I've just geographically lost my place for a moment. But he's already set his feet there. He walked around there for 3.5 years, as Yahusha. He came, he gone, he kicked his ass, he's gone. Yahuah will comfort his people. He will redeem Jerusalem. Yahuah will show the nations his set-apart arm and level them in his strength. And the whole world will see the deliverance of our Elohim. Now turn aside from Babylon. Stop that now. Get out of there. Stop touching what's unclean. It's like a parent, isn't it? Don't touch that. Get off there. Don't touch that. It's naughty. Don't do that. Turn aside from Babylon now. Stop that now. Get out of there. Stop that. Stop touching that. Stop touching what's unclean. Come out of that whorish behavior and be clean. For you priests are the vessels carrying Yahuwah's presence. Bring this, filter this into the new covenant. Filter this into what Yahusha is doing today. You priests are the vessels carrying Yahusha's presence. Don't you know you are the temple of the living Elohim? So stop doing that. Don't touch that. Don't look at that. Don't say that. Don't eat that. Don't drink that. Don't be unclean. Don't be defiled. And Yahusha said, it's not what you put in your mouth that makes you unclean and defiled. It's what comes out of you in your behavior. Stop that wicked behavior. Go on. Stop it. So you will get out of Babylon. Go on. Get out of there now. But no one will force you to leave in a hurry. For Yahuah is going before you and guarding you from behind. Look, my servants will succeed in what he has to do and will be raised to a position of the highest honor and esteem. Who was raised to the highest honor and esteem? Who was this humble servant of Yahuah? It was Yahuah as the humble servant. He transformed into Yahusha as the humble servant to be raised to a position of the highest honor and esteem. What did Yahusha say to his disciples before he ascended? Behold, all power and authority has been given to me in heaven and earth. And he said to the disciples earlier on, when I sit on my throne in all esteem, there will be thrones and you can sit on them, something like that. So he's the one seated in all authority, and he's the one coming back for his bride, for his new Jerusalem, of which we are forming and becoming part of already. That's why we're going through this vein of transformation, to be prepared as a building block, all lively stones fitted together. You've got to become a lively stone first before you can be fitted. Otherwise you won't fit. It's true that many were shocked when they saw him. He was beaten so badly that he no longer looked like a man. Who did that? But it's also true that all nations will be amazed at him very soon. Kings will look at him and be unable to speak. They will see what they had never been told, and they will understand what they had never heard. When he comes back, you better watch out. Yahuah calls Jerusalem his set-apart city, because the uncircumcised and the unclean will enter you no more. In retrospect, of course, that was the nations. That was the Medo-Persia, the Greeks, the Romans, all those filthy, swine-eating, idol-worshipping pagans that came in there all the time, touching all Israel's set-apart stuff. We're not going to talk about the fact that Israel was doing it voluntarily, bringing all their pagan stuff into their own temples, but we'll just push that under the carpet right now. Yahuah calls Jerusalem his set-apart city, because the uncircumcised and the unclean will enter you no more. At least they had an excuse. In retrospect, we now know that Yahuwah's servant is Yahusha, the transitioned Elohim man of redemption for the entire creation. And so far in Revelation, Yahusha has redeemed. So far in the vision here, to which we're getting pretty much to the end, Revelation 21, so far Yahusha has redeemed. He's delivered, he's created anew the entire earth and the heavens, universe, and has now also redeemed, created anew his holy set-apart city, his bride, Jerusalem. The capital, the headquarters. Regarding all things new, Paul knew that the redemption of Jerusalem, a set-apart, chosen bridal elect, is not so much an event, but more a process. Here we go with this process again. Preparatory process of deliverance. It's not so much an event, but more of a process. That's why we say new creation and not new creature. That's why we say new creation and not creature, because a creature is just ta-da. No, the creation is a process. So Paul knew that it was more of a process, something that has been in the works in heaven for a long time, and which, from just a seed, began in human flesh at Yahusha's arrival as the genesis of a new creation order. He started this ball rolling. He had the divine seed, the blood. He had the divine blood, the seed from above. And that formed with the womb, the egg of a woman, and created he became a new creation order. Well, it doesn't happen to us like Yahusha, because he was born a new clean being with a divine seed that formed him. We have to be reborn, begotten from above, from this same divine seed of Yahusha. It enters us in seed form. And just like Yahusha's life, he had to grow up from a baby into a man. We have to do it spiritually, because we've already grown up, most of us, from a baby to a man or a woman. But it has to grow spiritually within us. This seed, this process of deliverance, enters us in seed form. So it's a process. The Genesis, Yahusha is the first fruit, the first being of this new species, and we're following him. And like I said, it doesn't come from our birth in the natural, as Yahusha told Nicodemus. We don't enter the womb again. It comes into us spiritually, born of water and the Spirit, the water of the Word and the Spirit of life. And then we go through the baptism of spirit and fire. So this has got to happen to us, so that when Yahusha arrives, we'll be fully transformed to be like him. And we'll be an exact type being to him. In Hebrews, Paul makes an important statement about this heavenly New Jerusalem that we should understand. In Hebrews 12, verse 18, Paul says, "For you have not come to an earthly place that can be seen and touched, like the mountains that the 12 tribes saw, which were scorched with fire and covered with darkness, gloom and storms. There is no sound of a trumpet, or a voice speaking words like those they heard. When they heard the voice, they begged never to hear another word of it." So we haven't come to this earthly mountain. They couldn't handle hearing the command, "If anything, even an animal, touches the mountain, it must be killed with stones or shot with an arrow." They couldn't handle such requirements. They couldn't handle it. Such qualifications, they couldn't handle it. What they saw was so terrible that even Moses said, "I am shaking with fear and dread." They were petrified and ran for their lives. So we haven't come to this earthly place, earthly Jerusalem. It's all here. Why don't people understand it? Why are they still pumping a physical abomination of desolation, a physical temple, a physical Jerusalem, physical shadow feasts of Israel's shadows? They're all pumping physical things. Paul says you have not come to an earthly place. Instead, you've come to Mount Zion, to the city of the living Elohim, to the heavenly Jerusalem, to a place where thousands of angels have gathered to celebrate. Yes, you've come to the entire gathering and assembly of the firstborn family. Firstborn family. Who was the firstborn family? Go through your old historic document and sift through all the firstborns, because the natural firstborn was usually never chosen. The one born naturally in the flesh first to receive the firstborn never usually got it. Whether it be Cain and Abel, Cain didn't get it. Jacob and Esau didn't get it. There's so many others that didn't get the natural firstborn. It's got to be spiritually chosen by Yahusha. The firstborn family. Everything that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob shadowed has come to fruition in the body of Yahusha himself. And he said, "I am the body." Sorry, I am the head, you are the body. We're part of his body. So it's all come to fruition, this first fruit family, the entire gathering and assembly of the first fruit firstborn family, whose names are enrolled in heaven. Names are enrolled in heaven. You've come to Elohim, the judge of all people, and to the spirits of righteous people who've been made new and perfect. To the spirits of righteous people who've been made new and perfect. They weren't new to start with, because they were born corrupt. Ever since Adam, they were born corrupt. But they've been made new and perfect. And they're now spirits of righteous people. Spirits, they're people obviously asleep. All the righteous people from of old, from Adam, who have died, they're asleep. Everybody's asleep. Nobody's alive in heaven. There's no such place as heaven out there. Heaven is coming to us. You don't go to heaven. Heaven's coming to us. So, being made new and perfect, you've come into Yahusha. You've come into Yahusha, the one who established the new blood covenant with his people through the sprinkled blood that tells us about better things than the blood of Abel. And we know it's a new covenant because if you're going to sprinkle blood, that forms a new covenant. Anybody who knows their old Hebraic shadows knows that you couldn't make a covenant without blood. So if Yahusha's lifted up a new covenant the night before he died, and then he died shedding his blood, then we've come into Yahusha, the one who established the new blood covenant with his people through the sprinkled blood that tells us about better things than the blood of Abel. With his people, many would argue that his people are Hebrews, 12 tribes, and later on Jews. That's who they would argue his people are. He's made a new covenant with his people. You got to become his people. And his people formed and started at Abraham. So you've got to become everything that Abraham was. But Paul says there's no Jew or Gentile, no Greek. There's no male or female, no slave or free. It's all about his blood, not about your blood. Your blood is corrupt. Everything about you is corrupt. Your lineage is corrupt. And everything you're holding up, these 12 tribes of nonsense, are corrupt as well. But everything Yahusha did, and Yahuah of old, was righteous and pure and perfect and in justice and peace. So everything he did with the 12 tribes is legit. Everything they did was not. So they're a shadow of who we are to become. We learn from them what they did do right and what they did do wrong. We learn for ourselves. So we are his people, a firstborn family, his people. Not because you've grafted into a tribe, because you've grafted into Yahusha through his blood. And once you know his blood and you've been washed clean by his blood, no one can tell you that you're not included, that you're not royalty. No one can tell you. They'll try. Make sure you listen to the one speaking, which is Yahusha. For if those who ignored the warnings here on earth didn't escape, the Jews, then how much more dangerous is it for us who've heard the warnings from heaven? Not from a voice that will only shake the earth, but indeed the whole universe. For all things shakeable will be destroyed, so that the unshakable things, his kingdom, can remain. The shakeable things will be destroyed. Everything in this dimension will be frackled up by the sheer power of his radiating heat and Shekinah, be destroyed, so that the unshakable thing, which is his kingdom, his dimension, his reign, can remain. Heaven and earth will be destroyed, but my word will remain. So let's make sure we enter into this unshakable kingdom, which reigns in favour on our hearts, reigns in favour through this temple ark portal connection. This is the new Jerusalem forming. You are the bride, serving Yahusha to please him in fear and awe, never forgetting that our Elohim Yahuah, who became Yahusha, is a consuming fire. He certainly is. He's putting us through a baptism of fire, consuming us, consuming the spirit in our flesh. How amazing is it that right before these verses in Hebrews 12, Paul explains to us the transformation process through the flogging, rebuking, and chastising in order to bring forth the peaceable fruits of righteous behaviour. This is the baptism of Yahusha's fire. Of course, because this is Hebrews 12. And right before Paul speaks about this, he speaks about every son whom I love, I flog and discipline and rebuke and chastise. So he talks about that first, and then he tells us what's going to happen. Tells us that we need to be in this process. Put on the peaceable fruits of righteous behaviour through the baptism of Yahusha's fire. So what we learn in the final 2 chapters of Revelation is that in the new earth and the new Jerusalem, Yahusha will not be hidden away in a temple with a physical barrier between he and his people, meant to keep them away from his supreme radiating purity, a barrier that if crossed meant death for the violator, like at Mount Sinai. That's not what's going to happen here. As Hebrews 12 notes, at Mount Sinai no human or animal could approach Yahuah and live except for one, Moses. Yet because of Yahusha and the redemption he has enabled, all barriers, physical and spiritual, between he and mankind will be gone with the new earth because of what his blood achieved, divine connection that was once in the garden. We will have no fear in approaching the creator of the universe because his perfect blood has more power to deliver and redeem than the sacrifices of Abel and the blood of animals. Yahusha will truly and completely be Elohim within us, which was always his goal. He's already Elohim who lives within us, but it starts in seed form. In the new city, there'll be no barriers. We won't even have a fleshly body. There'll be no corruption. Nothing. When Jerusalem is spoken of, this was interesting. Let's focus on the earthly Jerusalem for a moment. When Jerusalem is spoken of, it's not so much speaking of the city's infrastructure, but rather a shadow of the people who live there and make up its dwelling. It's not about the building, it's about the people. So just as it was not the infrastructure of the old Jerusalem that was condemned as sinful and idolatrous, he wasn't condemning Jerusalem because of the stones and mortar and bricks and clay and furniture that they chose. No, he was condemning the people, the behaviour living within the structure. He was condemning them. So, just as it was not the old infrastructure of the old Jerusalem that was condemned as sinful and idolatrous, but the people within, so it will be that the new Jerusalem is representing Yahusha's set apart, pure and delivered people. It's not a new city of righteousness because the building is righteous. We're forming the building. Our overcome, matured through the vein, preparatory delivered beings are forming this new Jerusalem. That's why it is set apart and righteous, because the king of it is and his bride is. So just like in Revelation 18, where the great whore is likened to a city, Babylon, this new city of Jerusalem takes on the nature and qualities of the city. And she takes on the nature and qualities of the city she's called by. And in Hebrew, she's called Yerushalom, city of peace. She is a city and people of peace. And remember, we've got to become that peace. It's a fruit of righteousness that's got to grow in us through the spiritual vein. So Yerushalom, we can become peace, a city of peace, because we're a people of peace. She is a city and a people of peace because Yahuah Shema, that's what the new city is called in Ezekiel. Yahuah Shema, that's the name that the city is called, which means Yahuah is there. But where did Yahuah go? Yahuah became Yahusha. So we know it's called Yahusha Shema. It's where he is. Shemaim means where he is. Yahuah Shema is where Yahuah is. Yahusha is there. That's the name of the city. It's coming for us. She is the bridal elect, Yahusha's wife. What about this? She's the bridal elect, Yahusha's wife. So just take a look. All the shadows are coming together in this full culmination of everything John sees in Revelation. It's so exciting to know that we can become clean and new through this vein of deliverance. So we can become the city of peace, a people of peace. But you've got to be ready, like the bridegroom's voice. The bridegroom, the call of the bridegroom has gone out. The bridegroom's coming. The call has gone out. It's midnight. The bridegroom's coming. Get ready. Light your lamps. You've got to have your extra jar of oil. You have to have been through the vein to become righteous, to become clean. Everything that this vision that John is receiving of a new people, a clean people that have taken all the promises and learned all the lessons and overcome the flesh. That's who this city is for. Do you want to be part of it? Then run to the vein. See you later. I'll be back soon.
We choose to forgive or cast them off as weak. A sprinkle of the water, a curl upon your cheek. Bowing down to idols, it's on a global scale. Casting down to ruin Yahuah's mighty name. You brood of evil vipers, you shut up the doorway to Yahusha. Yes you do, you brood of evil vipers. You won't tell no one, and you won't go in. No, 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 because the serpent king struck the heel of Yahusha. But Yahusha smashed the serpent's head. And Hashem knows the fire is coming, and he wants you with him on the judgment day. You are selling off your birthright for pleasures a la carte. You're sucking from the poisons that cut away your heart. You are whitewashed tombs of ivory with your inside full of spite. You're making love to demons in the synagogue tonight. In the synagogue tonight.